Thanks for listening to the NVTV Podcast, produced by Neuqua Media.
Welcome to this week's episode of NVTV Podcast. I'm Larissa King. On today's show, Jesse Felix and Mrs. Van Milligen is joining me today, and we are going to be talking about the theater department. Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so first of all, Mrs. Van Milligen, what are you involved in the theater department?
I am the director of the children's show, which is the first production of the year. I guess technically the second production, the Keep Moving improv show. I also assist and direct the monologue show, and I am a drama club sponsor.
And then, Jesse, what have you been involved in at the Neuqua Theatre department?
I did several of Neuqua's shows last year, and this year I've done improv show, Mrs. Van Milligen's children's show, and I'm a part of this year's fall show.
Okay, so could you guys give me a quick rundown of like the theater department and what shows we produce?
I guess I'll take that. Well, we have a variety of shows every single year. We have, like I stated earlier, the improv show. We do the children's show. Then we have kind of a split opportunity to be in the fall or winter show. We have the monologue show, and of course we have the musical. In addition to that, this year, Mr. Ponderelli has put a small little cast together to do a musical review competition for IHSA, and then drama club.
And Freshman 1X.
And Freshman 1X, Freshman 1X, which happens between winter and musical, or monologue, yeah.
January.
Okay, so first of all, Jesse, what was your favorite show that you've done at Neuqua?
My favorite show, last year it was definitely between the fall show and the children's show. They were like my first opportunity to really get into the theater department, and the community was for sure very welcoming. And my roles were both very enjoyable. It was just something that was super fun to be a part of. This year so far, I really enjoyed being a part of improv show this year. Something about it this year was just really fun, and children's show as well. Just the energy that went into this one was just fantastic, so that was also amazing.
And then, Mrs. Van Milligen, I know you've directed a lot of shows, but what do you think was one of your favorites that you've directed?
So one of my favorites was years ago, because before I had kids, I was the person directing the musicals here. So my favorite show I directed was West Side Story. It's one of my favorite shows in general, but just the student cast was amazing, the choreography was amazing, the musicianship from the pit, the whole vocal scene, everything came together so beautifully that you did not believe it was a high school show.
Okay, and then along with that, Jesse, what was the most difficult show that you were a part of at Neuqua, and why was it difficult?
So for sure the musical, Guys and Dolls, and I also forgot to name drop the shows before. I don't know if that's important. Last year was The Spell of Sleeping Beauty for a children's show, and then This or Something Better, written and directed by Mr. Schaub, one of the English teachers. That was last year, and then this year, improv show, I said, and children's show by Mrs. Van Milligen, which was what happened after Once Upon a Time. But anyways, so musical was probably the most difficult because, even though I didn't have any lines, there were like a lot of different aspects that played into it, where a lot of it was just mood setting and, when they say like the ensemble, like everyone has a part, this production probably applies to that the most, because there's dancing and singing that all comes together with everybody who's a part of it, so it's like a missing piece, and it's, nothing's the same with something missing. Mm-hmm. So there was definitely a lot to learn for that, and so I can't even imagine the people who, were in the front of that production, because I was exhausted, so.
Mm-hmm. And then from the director's side, what was the most difficult show that you've produced, and why was it difficult to produce?
It was difficult in a really great way, and this is, again, forever ago because I've been here forever. But there was a show called The Diviners, and it was a great show because it was a blend of comedy and drama. So the kids that were in it, were really tested acting-wise in a great way, and they had to have Southern accents, too, which was awesome. But we made it rain on stage. So just the technical aspect of, irrigating things to not damage the stage was amazing. And what's funny about that show now, too, is two of the guys that were the cast in that show, they're the Try Guys. The main guy, Keith, do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith graduated from here. He's a Try Guy now, and he just brought on Ryan Garcia, who was also in it, so he's a part of that cast now as well. So it's just kind of funny. I'll see them on social media, and then I'll be like, oh my gosh, they're from the cast The Diviners, and that show was so challenging, but so challenging in a fantastic way.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So, what did you guys use to make it rain on stage?
Well, it was a former tech director here. His name was David Zaremka. He was kind of our it guy, the current Mr. Russell kind of position is what he did. So we created our own little tunnels and hoses and timing, and we put little holes in the hoses so that the rain would come at a certain rate. And we knew we could only let it rain for 1:18, otherwise it would flood. Wow. So it was just fun seeing it all come together. And there's this really powerful, dramatic, sad scene that happens while it's raining. And it was so gorgeous at the end. So it was, again, challenging and nerve-wracking, but in the best possible ways.
Yeah, so you guys used water?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And then, you mentioned that, you directed a show with the Try Guys, so,
Yeah.
What is it like to, have directed him as a kid, but, now he's,
Well, not
famous?
surprising. He's so tall. He has such a presence anyway. And he was looking to go into, Saturday Night Live, and he was a really beautiful musician here, too, so we knew it was, a possibility.
Mm-hmm. And then, Jesse, you're involved in a lot of theater stuff right now. Are you going to do anything with it in the future?
So the goal is, after high school, I think I'm going to try to double major in both TV, film, and theater. Ultimately, I just want to become part of Hollywood, I guess, whether that's acting or directing or editing or anything, because it's just the realm I'm really passionate about. So yeah, that's just where I see this theater journey going, and yeah.
Okay, and then Mrs. Van Milligen, so you're the children's show director, but how do you decide the show titles? Do the people play a part in that, or is it all you? Or, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, of course, we always pay attention to, what students from our department are returning, what students, would be, can we fit what the cast needs for the production. Me, personally, I intentionally pick shows with large casts because you guys attend such a big school, and I want to provide more opportunity for students, especially we have this schedule where you can't do fall and winter. So I really, try to pick a show that has a big cast for the students that go to Neuqua Valley, something that I'm can I really do something with the show? Can I make this funnier? Can I do something creative with it? So as I'm reading it, I have my brain is going in a million directions as I read a script, saying what's a fun thing I can do with the script, and how can I make this come to life? And do we have some returning kiddos that might make this work? And is it possible? And is it a large cast?
Mm-hmm. And then Jesse, so you're only a sophomore right now, so you have 2.5 seasons of theater left to do.
Yeah.
So what are some shows that you would like to do?
I mean, I'm not so cultured in musicals. I just kind of roll with it, whatever they decide. So I guess the same goes for the next 2 years. Just hopefully they pick one that I like. I enjoy Guys and Dolls, so they've got a good rep so far with me. I mean, yeah, I don't really have much of a preference, just as long as, I'm really there mostly for the community and obviously the acting, as that's what I'm really passionate about. But, overall, Neuqua's been pretty good at setting a good environment within the theater department, so I'm there for that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any, dream roles?
Not necessarily. I mean, I am, in wanting to harness my different abilities, I'm hoping that maybe with musical, or I guess, really any show, I'm hoping for a role that's a little more serious, because I've mostly played comedic characters, which I love, but especially the more serious shows, that's like something I'm hoping for in the future.
Okay, and then last but not least, Mrs. Van Milligen. So I know when people think of theater, they think of like actors and like the onstage stuff, but there's a lot of roles for offstage people. So could you tell us a little bit about those opportunities?
Absolutely. And it's funny because when I was in high school, of course, I was doing the acting. I went on to college and I did the acting too, but then college forced me to do lights and sound and just think about the bigger production. And to direct is like so fun because you control everything. But we have like student directing opportunities, costume opportunities, light design and lighting board opportunities. Same with sound and sound design. We have, what else do we have? Of course, crew. Yeah, so set construction, and if you're artistic and you like to paint, and our tech directors are so good at taking and valuing input from students that are in that realm of the production. So lots of opportunities, and in all different levels of skills applied. You can be, like, for example, in lighting, say you're the kid that's helping design and hang the lights, but you're not comfortable with that, and that's okay. Maybe you just want to, like, run the light board and learn the light board. Same thing with, like, sound design. Like, maybe you don't want to be part of the design, but you love, like, helping set up, students with their lav mics and things like that. So there's lots of opportunity and access to a bunch of different things. And theater really prepares you in life, not just theater. It's like, I'm a better speaker because of theater. I learn how to cope with stress better because of theater. I know how to, like, do stuff in my house construction-wise because of theater. So it's not just like, hey, we love to perform and act. These are skills that we can apply in our life in a lot of different ways.
Okay, thank you so much. And to anyone who's interested in joining the theater department, whether it's as an actor or as any of those offstage opportunities, please visit nvhstheater.com. Thank you to Mrs. Van Milligen and Jesse Felix for joining us today on the NVTV Podcast.
Thanks, Larissa.
The
Thank you.
NVTV Podcast is produced by media students at Neuqua Valley High School. Enjoy the rest of your day.